Oh my goodness. I've been trying to get this live up. We are traveling back from Chaffee County to Colorado Springs, and I've been trying to set up this live YouTube for quite some time. I'm sorry if you were waiting in the last video, but now it's working. So wow, what a couple of days it's been in Chaffee County. Sorry if it's a little bumpy. Again, I am traveling back from Chaffee County with my photographer, Sarah Hempelman. She's driving. I don't want to blind her with this light. We're actually stopping at a McDonald's real quick.
McFlurry.
We have a tradition whenever we go to Chaffee County to cover a story there, which we've gone to Chaffee County how many times now?
Quite a few, at least 5, 4.
Yeah, we always stop at McDonald's and get a McFlurry. So I feel like we deserve it after two long days in the courtroom. So I want the Oreo.
Oreo.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't have my notes in front of me, but we wanted to talk about our biggest takeaways that we thought of from today, and then also answer any of your guys' questions, because I know today was kind of a lot.
Is your ice cream machine working?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Yay!
Can we get an Oreo McFlurry and an M&M McFlurry?
All right, anything else?
No, that'll be all.
All right, that's going to be $9.52 Express Linda. Thank you.
We're kind of waiting for more people to get on as well. My wallet's in here somewhere.
I don't know where I put mine.
Here, when you park. Oh, I found it. We have so much gear in the back of the car.
We look like we live out of here. Hello.
Sorry, we're multitasking. Here you go. All right, guys, tell us where you guys are watching from. What's your favorite McFlurry, too? Why not? Someone said minty McFlurry. I didn't know they had that flavor.
Thank you, you too.
Everyone's like, someone's gonna sleep well tonight. Yeah, we're both exhausted.
Heck yeah, after this M&M McFlurry.
All right. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what thank you so much, you were great. Someone gave us $5. I don't know how that's possible.
So sweet.
So Sarah, why don't we ask you, what's your first takeaway from today? What was the biggest thing that you thought was really interesting?
So the biggest thing for me was a lot of the evidence that the state provided, which was surveillance pictures of Barry the day he was in Broomfield on Mother's Day, and what he kind of did throughout the day before he got the call about Suzanne. And it was just very interesting because he went on at least 5 different trash runs, and they were all in different locations throughout town. So he would go to one place, like a McDonald's, and throw away some stuff. Then he would go to a parking lot at like a shopping center and throw away some more, and then drive somewhere else and throw away a little bit more. But it was also interesting because when investigators asked him about it, like what he was throwing away at each of these sites, he couldn't remember a thing. He had no idea what he was throwing away at any of these places. So that was just really interesting for me. And then the other big part about that was the fact that whenever he got the call about Suzanne, he initially told investigators that he was at work and he was at the job site and had to immediately leave, you know, hurry and go. I can see the McFlurries.
Thank you.
You too. So there was that. So he said that he was at the job site.
But really, on surveillance video, he was inside the hotel room.
Yes.
And he was inside the hotel room for 5 hours. And
yeah, he never came out of his room from about 12:30 to almost 6 o'clock at night. Was in his hotel room the entire time, never left. So I just thought that was really interesting that he told investigators initially that he was working and at the site, but he definitely wasn't. He was sitting in his room.
I thought it was also really interesting that when he would come into the hotel room, he would be wearing one colored shirt, and then when he would leave from the hotel room, he would wearing a different colored shirt. Like, so when he first got into the hotel room, he was wearing a long sleeve shirt, And then he was carrying a ton of things in his hands, like a blue light bag, and then there was a teal colored jacket and
Which
some
I thought was
hiking
interesting because
boots.
they said Suzanne wore that a lot when she would go biking, was that teal jacket.
Yes.
And they don't know if it was for sure that, but they said it looked like a teal piece of clothing.
Yeah, and then when he left to take some trash out again, he put on like a black V-cut shirt, and then he was carrying the shoes. I thought it was interesting that he had his explanation to the shoes of why he like brought them into the hotel room and then threw them out was that they had holes and that he wanted to keep the laces. So that's why he brought the boots to the hotel room. We also saw pictures of him putting these hand tools onto into the entrance area and asking the clerk, hey, my workers are gonna come later. Can you just keep this here for now? Oh my gosh, someone gave us McFlurry money.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Diana. That's awesome. We really appreciate it. I haven't even started having mine. What was another takeaway you thought was interesting?
So, obviously, a lot of what they talked about...
We're at a stoplight, so
yeah, I
don't worry.
promise I'm not driving. One of the things, obviously, they talked about a lot yesterday, extensively, was Suzanne's affair. And then I thought it was interesting today, they brought up that when they... went through Barry's search history on
Thanks, Boxer Girl, for $10. That's awesome.
Love you. When they went through his search history, one of the things they found was a few different websites that were either pornographic or something along those lines. And as soon as they brought that up, his defense team immediately objected and went up to the judge stand and had to talk to him and all this other stuff. And
I watched
didn't wanna
Barry's
talk about it.
reaction.
Yeah.
And he immediately got upset and sat up in his chair and just was kind of just flabbergasted that they were talking about this.
Yeah.
And the two dating websites they were talking about was Ashley Madison and Celeb Jihad, and we had to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got what I had tweeted about from we just looked it up. Why is this light not turning?
Because there's no turn lane to go right here, but...
Anyway, someone asked, did chlorine get talked about at all? And it did not get talked about yet. I think there was a lot of things that Agent Johnny Grusing wanted to speak about, but just didn't have time. They really drilled him on the time of when Barry's truck opened the door and closed the door, and when brake lights went on and off, and why and how far, difference of when his phone pinged around the home. I thought it was interesting about his explanation of why he was moving around the home so much was because he was shooting chipmunks.
Yeah, that's what Barry said. He was shooting chipmunks around the house.
I was like, what? Thought that was really interesting that Johnny Grusing, from an interview, Barry had mentioned. What was something else? I thought it was really interesting about the airplane mode. That's just not something I've never heard about, that, people just turn their phone on airplane mode to avoid talking to people. I don't know. I hadn't heard of that before. Something that really hit hard for me was when they showed the picture of Suzanne, and this was the last known photo of Suzanne alive, and I looked behind, so I was on the second or third row on the left hand side of the, if I was looking at the judge, I was on the left hand side. Barry's family is on the right hand side, and they're on the second to last row. And so I looked back, and when Suzanne's photo was on the screen of her sunbathing, I was kind of watching the girls, and they were just in tears and just really, really upset, and to see, the last known photo of their mother.
I looked at Barry and he didn't react at all.
Oh, I thought it was also interesting that I guess when investigators showed the picture, the last known photo of Suzanne, you know, that she had sent to Jeff Libler, was that he said she looked drunk and that he had, like, she had some, he just drunk eyes. I had never heard of that before. And I mean, when we looked at that photo, I just thought she was sunbathing outside. She was laying on her stomach. You couldn't even see her bathing suit because her hair was down. And they didn't hold the photo up there too long. I think it was just really emotional for the daughters. What else, you know, caught your attention?
He also implied too that because she looked drunk that it would take the edge off of the evening, kind of implying like because she was drunk it would make the night go a little smoother. So he didn't care that she was drinking in the middle of the day.
Yeah. But it was what, 2 o'clock in the middle of it was literally the middle of the day.
Yeah. On the weekend.
Do you think that Barry knew about the affair?
Everybody keeps saying no, and he keeps saying no, but I feel like being as suspicious as he was, and even though there was one part where they said they got into an argument at one point because Barry accused her of cheating on him, but then when investigators asked about it later, he said he wasn't being serious. Like, he made a joke that she had another boyfriend. He's like, oh, I wasn't being serious about it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you bring it up in an argument, I don't think it's a joking matter. So I think some part of him probably always suspected something. I don't know for sure if he ever found out, but I think there was always a part of both of them that suspected something was happening.
I think also the part about the tranquilizer dart, the cap of the tranquilizer dart, is a really important piece of evidence that they really didn't touch on today, but I think that they're going to later on. They kind of just said, yeah, we found a tranquilizer or a cap to a tranquilizer dart in the dryer, and then kind of breezed over that. And then later on, Barry Morphew allegedly told investigators that he had thrown some tranquilizer material away in the multiple 5 trash dumps that he had done on his way to Broomfield, Colorado. I think it's also interesting when he went to Broomfield, Colorado, he knew the equipment that he needed to get the job done, which was a bobcat or a skid steer, and he didn't bring it. And that the only thing he brought for his crew was hand tools. And when I spoke with Morgan Gentile, she knew exactly that they didn't have the equipment, as well as Jeff Puckett, that they needed a bobcat and they needed the blocks, and the blocks never arrived. And, you know, it was, Jeff knew it instantly, like, this job isn't gonna happen. You know, he thought it was an alibi when he put, you know, 2 and 2 together. Sorry if it's a little bumpy, guys. Thank you, Matt, so much for your donation. Oh, I always knew in my gut mine was cheating. Oh, I'm guessing your relationship, is that what you're talking about? What else do you want to talk about? Let's talk about in between. So we have breaks. They're like 15 minutes, and then we also have like an hour and a half. And the daughters would say, like, we miss you. We're praying for you. What was something that Mallory said to Barry specifically?
She looked at him today and said, "You're my best friend," and he said, "Always," back to her.
He would pull down his mask and like mouth the words, "I love you." And, you know, I saw one of the girls like put their hands together like a prayer, like they were praying, you know, for him. Sorry, I'm trying to read your guys' comments while I'm also doing this.
I saw at one point when his sister walked back into the room.
Okay, Carrie wants to know, oh shoot, what did I do? Oh, okay, so Carrie MC wants to know, were you surprised it was stated that the bobcat wasn't used in a crime? Yeah, because, you know, during the search, he carried that bobcat around like a purse. I mean, he didn't want anyone, you know, he didn't leave it places. I thought that was really interesting. But I think I think there's more to the Bobcat. I think we need to, you know, wait and see what else they're going to talk about with the Bobcat. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, there was just one point where Barry's sister walked into the courtroom and kind of pointed upwards and said, like, God knows you're good.
Really? I missed that.
I don't think you were in there yet, but I was watching everybody as they were talking to him.
Gotcha. What else do you guys want to know about?
He also asked Macy if she was feeling better today. So I think
Macy was sick? Or?
No, but I'm sure yesterday shook her up a lot, hearing a lot of that stuff.
I felt like the girls were a lot more emotional yesterday than they were today. It was a lot of data, analytical, you know, data from the phones and and the truck and stuff like that. It seemed like the defense was talking about the pinging of the cell phone at the house for so long in the afternoon. It was like they were trying to say that he moved around so much, there's no way, because of how fast he was moving, it was him actually moving. Yeah, it wasn't accurate and things like that.
Plus, it was just hard to follow because they all had papers and reports that they could look at for these numbers, whereas none of us knew what they were talking about. So when they were just saying all these numbers and facts and figures, like, it was just hard to follow because we didn't have anything to look at as a reference.
I did think it was really interesting that the defense talked about a secret, like a bank account that Suzanne had put together. And then they also mentioned that money was missing out of the safe in the garage.
After Barry got it back.
Yeah, after Barry had, you know, gotten it back from the search warrant at the home. I felt like they were going to come back to that, but they never did. They kind of brought it up in the very beginning of today, and then they just never kind of came back to it. Yeah, it was $70,000 supposedly that was missing. Some people are asking, did any of the daughters see any abuse? I
think they said no.
Macy mentioned, you know, Macy
they
talked
never
to...
saw him physically abused.
Yeah, physically, no. I think mentally, absolutely.
Yeah. Macy was around for a lot of the arguments and kind of was talked to by both parents about what was going on, so she was kind of put in the middle of a lot of those.
Yeah, I wonder with the evidence in the dumpsters, like whatever he supposedly threw away, I wonder if they've taken a ton of time searching the like landfills for whatever he had put, because I know with trash people they have a set schedule and they have to like they schedule out where they put the trash or whatever. I'm sure there's people on here that know better what I'm trying to explain, but you know, when your trash gets taken, it goes to the landfill and they have specific spots, like they map it out. So I'm sure that investigators search the landfill as well. Aw, so many people are giving us McFlurry money. That's awesome. Thank you, Chippy Hick. That's awesome. We're gonna have McFlurries for days. Like a grid trash site, like a search at the trash site. Yeah, I wonder if they did that. People are saying I've kept busy. Yeah. My fiance was like, "Are you still alive?"
Yeah, he texted
today. Me. Yeah, he texted her and was like, "Is she okay?"
He said she doesn't know when to turn beast mode off.
Well, when you get into a groove and you're like stressed about what all you have to do in the day, you gotta keep going. So, what else do we want to talk about? Was there anything? I thought it was interesting that he had deleted 2 text messages, and one of which was on May 6th, and it talked about how Suzanne, you know, texted him saying, "I'm done. Let's just do this civilly." And this was days before she was reported missing. And that was a, you know, text message we got to physically see from evidence today. Oh yeah. So before 9 o'clock, she just asked me a question, and she's like, can we talk about this? So before my 9 o'clock package, we were outside the Chaffee County Detention Center, and this guy comes up, and he's like, I like started small talk with him, and I said, hey, are you going to jail? Are you bailing out someone? He's like, I'm bailing out my friend. So I was like, hey, maybe your friend can tell us about, you know, a certain inmate that's in there with him, or, you know. And so we waited until this inmate came out, and you talked to him more than I did, Sarah. So maybe you should tell us what exactly he said. So this is a guy who's been in jail for a couple weeks, and he's actually in a pod next to Barry Morphew in the Chaffee County Jail.
So initially when he came out, I asked him if he knew who Barry Morphew was. And he said, no, it doesn't sound familiar, and asked why I was asking. And I had mentioned that we were there obviously all day for his hearing, and I said, yeah, he had a hearing today, you know, for the murder of his wife. And he goes, oh, that Barry. And I was like, yeah, do you know him? Like, did you talk to him at all? And he goes, oh, he's in the pod next to me. But then later explained that the way the pods work, it's not like they're individual cells. A pod is basically a room with multiple cells in it. And he said that Barry is in a pod by himself. He is completely isolated. So he is in his cell within the pod with nobody else around him. And he said that, I don't know her first name, but her last name is Jackson. The owner of the detention facility is intentionally doing that, and she's even putting 3 inmates or 3, you know, whatevers in one cell to prevent them from being near Barry so that he is completely isolated. And he kind of joked with me and said that part of the reason they're doing that is because of reasons like what we were doing was asking him questions, because she doesn't want people that, you know, get bailed out, bonded out, whatever, that have interacted with Barry to be able to talk about it at all. So she's intentionally isolating him. But he said that the few times he's walked by or seen him through some of the security cameras or something, that he's just sitting there, or he'll pace back and forth every now and then, or read a book, or, you know, watch TV or something, but he basically just sits there and acts like a normal dude. So that was interesting though. But he had some theories about a few things. Because
tell him about there was I guess a former coworker who was also in jail at the same time that said, you know, Barry is a great dude. He liked working for him. It's unfortunate what happened. You know, what else did he say?
He said that he thinks Suzanne, the guy that we talked to, said he thinks that Suzanne is buried somewhere up in Denver, because he was telling me, obviously I know about this, but he's like, yeah, Barry has a construction company and he was doing a job up in Denver, and I think she's buried up there. And obviously from the job site, which, you know, investigators have searched, they didn't find anything. But he did mention too that we should look into Andy Mormon, because there was some other thing happening within the family that Barry's old coworker had mentioned to him, that he was suspicious of Andy somehow being involved.
Thank you, Half Rudder, for your donation. I don't know what, I've never had this happen where people are giving me money for something, for McFlurries, I guess. What else was interesting today? Oh man, there was just so much. I kind of want to back up and talk a little bit about yesterday. There was something that I thought was really interesting. It was about Jeff Libler and how he had mentioned that, you know, he didn't really know if it was Barry or not until he heard a report, I guess, that he had said about, you know, if one person could come to Christ or Jesus or God, or one person could be saved. No, it was one person could be saved.
At the end of all this.
At the end of this, then she would be happy. And that was actually from a report that I did with Barry. This is something he said to me. And throughout seeing and listening to some of the body camera video from yesterday, the initial reactions that Barry had said, you know, talking a little bit about how, you know, the deputy asked Barry, oh, was she an avid biker? And he said, oh, she just started. That's not what he said to me. I mean, he said she was an avid biker. She, he said, Lauren, she would bike every day. Uh-oh, we might lose you again. Someone says start another stream. Uh-oh. We're losing you guys! What else do you want to talk about? Okay, so before Monday and Tuesday, the prosecution had said on Friday in the emergency hearing that they had 8 witnesses to go through in the first 2 days, and they only went through 3. And so I know the judge was very adamant about timing and trying to give, the same amount of time, but he even admitted at the end of today, he said, I need to do better at this. He also reminded the defense that this is not a trial. This is a preliminary hearing, and that, and even the defense said, hey, we took too much time, I think, even. And so, I think they had about 6 hours versus 5 hours from the state, but the state needs to go through all these witnesses, and they might have to not bring some of these witnesses to the stand. That might be crucial to making sure that we continue on to the process if the charges stand. I mean, the judge might say, no, this charge, I don't see it. I don't see that there's probable cause to charge Barry Morphew with this, and so charges might be dropped by the end of this. But the state needs to get through all their witnesses and all their evidence. We're supposed to show 450 exhibits, and I'm pretty sure they did not do that in the first 2 days. So I know that today they went a little over 5 o'clock. Drew Nelson, Barry's attorney, wanted to kind of break for the day a little earlier, and the judge was like, absolutely not. We need to get through. We need to go as long as we can. So he said that he would do better at making sure, that there's equal time. Someone's asking about, did you do a broadcast for tonight? I couldn't find you. Yes. I did do a 9 o'clock package, just like a more cohesive story. I'm hoping my digital team posted it to the article on Fox 21. I will check as soon as I get back to the newsroom.
We have a new person.
Yeah, we have some new people on our digital team. Someone said the cougar must have been at the Holiday Inn Express. It's so crazy because that Holiday Inn Express is like 2 or 3 minutes from where I grew up. And so all the trash sites that he supposedly threw things away, I've been to so many different times. Like that McDonald's, I've been to so many different times. It actually has the greatest Netflix, not Netflix, sorry, Redbox. It has the greatest Redbox there. And then the car wash is right behind it, and I go to that car wash all the time. So it was just really crazy to see. And early on in the investigation, I had heard that, CBI agents had gone in that area to try to ask people for surveillance video, but I had only heard that was from Walmart, and it was definitely the Men's Warehouse, it was, McDonald's, it was Holiday Inn Express. So I think it's also interesting that Barry parked on the only side where there wasn't surveillance camera video at the hotel. I'm trying to go through your guys' questions. Feel free to ask questions on here. So someone's asking if his court is happening tomorrow. It is not happening tomorrow. The next court appearance is August 23rd and 24th. And I was told that Suzanne's side of the family, so that's the Mormons, are supposed to be in attendance. And that will be the first time that they'll see Barry Morphew, their brother-in-law, arrested. That will be the first time since he's been arrested. Sorry. Did Barry acknowledge your attendance at all, Lauren? Yes, he definitely acknowledged my attendance. He would stare me down in the courtroom, like in between breaks. Whenever he would stand up and stretch his leg and turn around and mouth things to the daughters and his sisters and his mom as well. So he would look around the room and he didn't really engage a lot with people. He just would stare us down. But Sarah stared him down. I don't know why. You just wanted to.
Oh yeah, I just wanted him to know that I was there. I know who he is.
Yeah. Are you guys going back to the hotel or home? We are going home. We did not get a hotel tonight, so we've been driving back from Salida. We got some good food at Currents in downtown Salida. I would suggest it if you're in that area ever.
We had a delicious dessert.
Yeah, and now we had the McFlurry. Anything else you want to talk about?
From today or yesterday?
Today or yesterday. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. How long does it take you guys to get home? Is that get home? Hold on. Yes. So it takes us about, what, 2.5 hours? 2 hours? 2.5?
2, yeah.
And the majority of the ride back is like no cell phone service. So
and they're dark country roads.
And there's like deer out. I've seen at least, what, 50 deer maybe today?
Not on the road.
Not on the road, but like throughout the day I've seen like patches of like 5 or 10. They do. They really do.
They're all over Salida. And they
Maybe
just
50
chill.
that was too much. It was probably like 20. That was a little too much.
They just stroll through your front yard and your backyard and just kind of eat your bushes.
Someone's asking about the size of the tree bucket that was thrown out. Remember there was like a bag that had like the camo coat and then
It's like a shrub thing.
it was pretty big in size. I don't know how I could describe. It was like
Like a really big water jug thing.
would you say like a foot around? Yeah,
Alright.
maybe a foot
Maybe the
around
size of,
radius. A foot radius.
Like those water bottles you have at sporting events.
Oh, that's a comparison.
Thank you.
Did you hear that? Sarah said it's like the size of like a water jug that you see at sporting events. That's the size it was. Someone is asking, what was your impression of Barry's attorneys? I felt like at times they didn't have all their paperwork together and they were trying to figure out exhibits and they couldn't find it, or they were asking Agent Grusing exactly like, hey, take us back to this date, this text message, did you ask Barry about this? And, and they couldn't find it in exact paperwork or the exact order. So that took a lot of time away. But as far as,
Or they would ask about a specific date, and then when either Grusing or whoever was up there would go to that page with that stuff, it wouldn't be there, and then they would get confused and say that it was the wrong date and he needed to look at something like 3 days earlier. And just, they didn't have everything in order as well as they should have, as organized. So yeah, it took a lot of time.
someone is asking us, do you think there is enough at this point to go to trial or a bond? I mean,
I don't.
What did you say?
I don't personally, because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it is just his truck data and the messages between Suzanne and Jeff. And I feel like that's...
I think
not
there's
enough to
still a
do.
lot of witness testimony
Yeah.
and that will collaborate with when he was at what places with the truck doing what. I mean, I think that will... there's just so much more evidence that we haven't heard, so it's just really hard to say. I mean, we don't even know really how Suzanne died,
Yeah.
and if she is dead. I mean, obviously, with the charges that they have presented against Barry, the state believes that Suzanne is dead. But from what I understand and how the defense is asking questions, they're kind of saying Suzanne might still be out there, that she might still be alive.
That is a huge implication from their side.
Yeah.
Barry didn't kill her, and she left and ran away from, the family and everything, and she's out there somewhere still.
I'm trying to go through your guys' questions. Sorry if this... maybe that he kept changing shirts so he would look different on the surveillance cameras. Well, even when I did my interview with Barry, he talked about he knew he was on camera at the hotel. Told me to go check the video at the hotel, and I told him multiple times, hotels don't just give away surveillance video, especially in a case like this. They're new at this. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if people are complaining about how rough the road is, or
very bumpy.
What if they can't get in all witnesses if the defense is taking so long? That's a great question, Flyer B. I think that's
a big concern.
That is a big concern for the state, I think. And they're kind of trying to figure out probably what witnesses maybe they can just hold off, or maybe make their questioning shorter, things like that.
Topic and just continually talking about one thing for a consistent amount of time, and I think that's taking up a lot more time from asking other questions that they may have, and they're just simply focusing on one thing a little too intensely at this point for just a...
Yeah, again, the judge reminded them at the end of today that this is not a trial. This is a preliminary hearing. Someone is asking, did they have or show video of the RTD stop, or just say truck phone data? So
they didn't show his truck.
They showed a Google Maps of the RTD bus stop, and they also showed... Did they ever show the surveillance video of that one?
We haven't seen any video. It's all just the pictures.
Those were pictures, yeah.
But for the bus stop one, they didn't even show his car there. It was more of just a reference to show where his car was parked and how far away it was from the trash can. So based off of door schematics and whatnot of when he opened the door and when he closed it again, it would make sense that he went over there and threw something away. And so they might have their evidence that actually shows him there, but at least what we were shown was just a Google image of the bus stop.
Okay, so someone's asking was there any DNA evidence collected or mentioned? Today, there was not. Yesterday, they did talk about DNA. They talked about DNA in Suzanne's Range Rover in the glove compartment area, and then they talked about there was no blood DNA of Suzanne in the investigation since the beginning to now.
The defense even brought up that Barry's entire truck...
Talk louder.
Oh, sorry. When they looked through Barry's truck, they didn't find any blood or anything like that, and that was one of the big things that the defense was trying to prove, was that had he moved her body or disposed of it or done anything like that, there wasn't any blood or anything in there. And she even asked Gruesing today, in like this little time slot, it was about 4 minutes, if that was long enough to dispose of a body, and he said no. So they were just, I think, trying again to prove that he wasn't moving around a body or doing anything of that sort, because there was nothing to be found in his truck.
I'm gonna read through some of your guys' questions real quick. Sorry, this light is bright. Yeah, so the preliminary hearing will resume on August 23rd as well as August 24th. So that's about 2 weeks. Today actually is the man was reported missing with the judge. I know people have asked me this, if they were hunting buddies or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know if, that is true. I'm sure that the prosecution and the state would look into that. They have not talked about We're going on up a hill. think. Someone goes boo-boo buffering. Sorry, guys. Someone is asking, what was your response when you were told you had... So I was coming out of the bathroom. This is in a break, and this lady who I didn't know, she looked familiar, but I didn't know who she was, just was like, hey, are you Lauren? I was like, yeah, and she was like chippy at the beginning, and then when she said, you know, you've been instrumental in destroying our family's life, I was like, whoa. And then it like clicked with me, oh, you're Barry Morphew's sister, and you know, and then she just walked away, and I just kind of was taken back, and I just walked back into the courtroom, and I told you exactly as soon as it happened. So someone said my credit card number was shown. I don't know. Sorry, I'm reading comments. Some person is asking, Marianne Gibson is asking, what was the top points you heard today? Yours was the dating websites,
and then
the trash dumps, and what else?
And then the amount of time that he spent in his hotel room, and the fact that it
Oh
didn't
yeah,
correlate
the 5 hours.
Yeah, it didn't correlate with when he told investigators he was at the job site, but wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear Sarah. If she needs to speak up louder, just tell me. Mine was the airplane mode with the phone, the deleted text messages with that Suzanne had wrote to Barry, and then I think the picture was really powerful of Suzanne. How has Barry's physical self altered, if at all? You stared at him more than I did, so you can describe how he was.
I think he looks extremely frail and thin, and he looks like he's aged about 10 years since he's been in there. Like,
since we last saw him.
Yeah, like if you look at old pictures of him and Suzanne, you know, either stuff that she's posted or in our stories, or maybe you just knew him then, he was very big and muscular and, you know, all of that, and now he just looks so small and weak, and yeah, I think
he's like
jail and the stress of this.
Yeah, he was like gray a little bit, like down here, like on the sides of his hair, and he even showed, I like saw him show his mom and his sisters on day one his hair. We'll read some more questions. Everyone's asking, do you feel this is going to trial? I feel like it's too early to tell. There's so much more evidence that needs to be talked about. Why do you think the picture of Suzanne made a huge impact? Well, I mean, she just looked so happy in that photo, and it was the last one of her alive, according to the state. And you know, just hearing the daughters cry, it just was really impactful. I don't know. I just wish we could show you the photo. I wish we could take photos or video in the courtroom. We just can't right now. Someone's asking about the stream. So yeah, there's like an overflow room in the Chaffee County Fairgrounds, which I just hope that they have it still on August 23rd and 24th. There wasn't a lot of people. They were expecting like 50 people there, and there were only about a dozen at most there. Let's see if there's any more questions. Are my tweets helpful? I don't know if I'm writing them. I'm trying to do it in order, you know, but sometimes they jump around, and so I'm trying to, you know, organize my tweets as best I can while also taking notes. Someone's asking if I think the youngest daughter is acting in a way to stay on Barry's good side. No, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I don't know. I don't know the youngest daughter really. I mean, I see her in the courtroom, but she's still like blowing kisses and saying I miss you and love you, not slowing down.
Drive right through the intersection. You should see the way this woman drives.
Don't
Do not
say
let
that.
her fool you. I'm a great driver.
Okay. I'm trying to read your guys' messages. Did the girls break down at all? Yes, absolutely. They broke down. I'm trying to think when the moment they broke down the longest. I don't know.
I saw him cry a lot more yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday they cried a lot more. I think it was more when they were talking at length about Suzanne Morphew's affair. I think that's when they broke down the most.
I saw Macy crying a lot more too when they were talking about
when
them fighting and everything and how involved she was in the relationship, because they talked a lot about how Macy had suggested separating and divorce because she knew that would make both of them happier because they weren't happy the way they were. So I think that was hard for her, knowing that she had said all those things to her mom and then seeing her dad sit in front of her. I'm sure that tore her up a lot, but just knowing how involved she was in their drama.
The two daughters are, holding each other's hand, giving each other tissues, just really supporting one another. It's really evident in the courtroom. Someone's asking if they found child porn on his phone. No, that's not true. At least we don't know that right now. Someone is asking if any of the Mormons are in the courtroom. So no Mormon is in the courtroom. I know that they are logging on to WebEx, which was provided to them by the courts. But we were also told today that some Mormons, were going to be in the courtroom on August 23rd and 24th. And this will again be the first time that they would see Barry Morphew after he was arrested. Someone is asking if Jeff Libler was on the stand. No, Jeff Libler has not been in court at all. Yeah, there is a theory going around that Suzanne is still alive. The defense is kind of leaning towards that when they ask questions. They talk about, she started a bank account and she talked about going to Ecuador with her lover and things like that. Someone's asking about how was Shirley. Shirley's not as emotional. I haven't seen her.
I saw her cry once.
You saw her cry once? I didn't even see her cry once. When did you see her cry?
The only time I saw her cry was when they had mentioned that Suzanne was sending nudes to Jeff, and I looked over because I saw her physically react to it and kind of lean into her daughter, and they started hugging each other, and then a few moments later she was wiping tears from her eyes. So I think that was hard for her to hear.
I'm glad I have her in the courtroom because I can't look at and do everything at the same time. So sometimes I tell her, hey, look at, Barry right now, or hey, look at, the Morphew family, or, hey, what did you think of this? And she can give me a different perspective while I'm scrambling to try to write tweets and, write notes and things like that. Who is Shirley? Shirley is Barry Morphew's mother. Sorry, I'm reading questions. Okay, talk more about the websites that were found on his phone, like Ashley Madison and the other one. So the other one was Celeb Jihad, and what we looked up was about Islamic extremists that were sharing photos and videos, celebrities that were nude and photos and videos. Ashley Madison, I mean, I don't know much about these sites, to be honest. I've only heard it about, like, I think, is it Josh Duggar? Like the Arkansas guy? He got caught on that website. I don't really know, honestly.
But that was another interesting part, was another one of his search histories was a cute girl in Salida. And the defense, their argument for that was the fact that the family shared either an iCloud account or a cell phone plan or something like that, but it was a shared type of situation. So she implied that, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean Barry was the one that looked up that information.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing that I have trouble with, is Macy had a boyfriend. No one's mentioned Mallory being interested in girls, and obviously, you know, Suzanne was married to Barry, so it just kind of narrows it down to the only person in the family that would be interested in looking for a cute girl. So I just thought that that was really interesting that she tried to pin that on someone else in the family.
Okay, someone gave us Potato Coffee, gave us $5. I'm glad the girls have each other. As a child of narc parents, manipulation is so powerful. It may not be possible yet for them to question him. Wow, there's a lot of construction in Colorado Springs. Trying to see what else. What was Barry's demeanor when the affair was discussed? That's a good question. I was looking at Barry's reaction, and he kind of had his eyebrows raised and was really paying close attention as far as what the state was questioning the investigator about, the spy pen, and, you know, who purchased the spy pen, and how did Suzanne get it, and how does the spy pen work. And for people that didn't tune in yesterday, supposedly Suzanne bought this spy pen and sent it to Sheila Oliver's home, who she lives in Indiana, best friend since college roommate, and you know, Sheila gave it to Suzanne in February of 2020 in Florida, and she said it's voice activated, it looks like a black pen, but it records audio. And she supposedly, Suzanne was trying, oh sorry, we're losing service a little bit. I thought it was interesting that text messages between Suzanne and Sheila Oliver, they talked about how Suzanne wanted to wait until Macy was out of the home before getting a divorce or separating. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna only do a couple more questions because we are almost back at the station in Colorado Springs. So drop your questions below. What was the reaction to the affair? I think I just answered that, with Barry kind of raised eyebrows.
I think a lot of the reaction piece too is gonna be more from the family than it is Barry, because you gotta remember, he's already heard about all this. He's seen all the evidence, he's seen all the text
He's read
message.
the affidavit.
Yeah. So none of this is really a surprise to him when he's hearing it in court. But I think that's why the girls are getting so emotional hearing a lot of this stuff, because it is new for them. They don't know about this. And then having to hear it in a setting like that, I'm sure, is a lot harder too.
Yeah, again, Suzanne kept this big secret. She didn't tell anyone, and neither did Jeff Libler. I mean, when this arrest affidavit, or when they were investigating or interviewing, when they were interviewing Jeff Libler, he still hadn't told his wife. And this was 6 months after Suzanne went missing in November, when they spoke with Jeff Libler out of Michigan. Okay, someone is asking, what do you think about Barry's ping near where the bike was found? Sarah?
That didn't really stand out to me too much, only because you have to drive past that road.
That's true.
To get
out
back onto the main highway.
Yeah.
So he could have easily sent a text message in the same spot, and it would have pinged. There might be something related there, but it just didn't stand out to me because it's the only way back to the main road. Like, you have to drive past it, so.
Yeah. Off of County Road 225 to get back on Highway 50. Someone's asking. Okay. So someone's asking, how did the spy pen end up in Suzanne's closet? Great question. They didn't really talk about that. They just said that that's where they found it. And again, investigators, it took them a couple of months to find out who this Jeff was that Suzanne was talking to, because all they had was a first name and they didn't know. And even they played the audio to Sheila Oliver, Suzanne's best friend, and they also played it to Holly Wilson, another friend of Suzanne, and they both didn't know who this Jeff character was. It wasn't until they got all the evidence off of her iCloud was when they figured out who this Jeff character was, because of LinkedIn messages. Okay. Oh. I'm trying to read questions. Lover in the basement. Yeah, so I think that the whole like basement comment today that I had posted, I think what he had said in a recording to Holly Wilson when, they were talking was that if she had been, abducted or something like that, that whoever might have her in a basement that's having sex with her or whatever, that he would want to shoot him in the balls, shove him down the person's throat, and then, what was the other thing?
Oh, I thought that was it.
I thought there was one other thing. He would just go after him?
Yeah, he would find him or something.
Yeah, find him. So I think he was referring to either someone a kidnapper, abductor, maybe a lover. I'm not exactly sure. We haven't heard that audio recording of what they were referencing. Yeah, that's a great question, Tora Johns, about what happened with Suzanne's phone pinging so early in the, before Barry had said she was sleeping. That's a great question. I think that's what investigators are really, that was a key piece today. Someone's asking if Trevor in court. I'm assuming you're asking about Trevor Knoll, the nephew who at the beginning of this whole thing was a family spokesperson for the Morphews. He was not in the courtroom. Trevor Knoll. They're asking if Trevor Knoll was in the courtroom. All right, let me see. Did I see Tyson there? No, I did not see Tyson there. I'm guessing you're referring to Tyson Draper. Have the daughters seen the affidavit? No, I don't believe so. That is still under sealed. I'm trying to read it. As many questions. Do I think Suzanne is still alive? I don't think she's still alive. I think she was a loving mother, and she would have had contact with either her daughters or her sister or her brothers. I just think that family was so important to her that she just wouldn't drop off and not communicate with her family like she has since May 9th at, I think it was 2:11 was the last communication. Did they say anything about the pen picking up the actual crime? No, they have not said anything about like the spy pen audio recording picking up the actual crime. Great question though. That was actually a really good question. Do you think Barry will bond out? I don't think, I mean,
He doesn't have bond.
yeah, right now he doesn't have bond. It's too early to tell if, he would get a bond. I'm trying to read some more information. Where is she if she is alive? I'm sure investigators would love to know.
The defense thinks she's in Ecuador.
Well, that's what they were alluding to yesterday. Did Barry say something? Oh, I scrolled up too fast. Sorry, guys. Did Barry say something about why he had tranquilizer cap thing? Yeah, so talking to Barry before, I knew that Barry had like a deer farm back in Indiana, and I'm sure that he probably used maybe the deer or the tranquilizer darts to take down some deer maybe, and so maybe that's why. But that's just me, you know, kind of racking my brain as to information that I had previous. Okay. People are asking, why are the daughters not being interrogated? I don't know. We are now parking, so I think we're gonna say goodnight. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I do not. It's been a pleasure, everybody.
We will do this again in 2 weeks when Barry Morphew's back in court on August 23rd and 24th. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my tweets. I know they were obnoxious at times and you guys were waiting for some updates and I wasn't doing it fast enough, but I appreciate you guys getting on here and talking with me live, and maybe I can do more of these because I want to figure this out and make it better. And sorry that we were driving and that it kept going in and out. I apologize for that. But we are going to go inside, bring in all our gear, get some rest, and I will be back at work tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't know how to turn this off again.